America, land of instant results. We consummate our loyalty to plastic and dwindling oil resources, and we invented impatience. Also the shotgun. The very country was founded on the idea that if things don't get better with time, run away and burn stuff until they do. So it comes as no surprise, then, that every year around election time you hear the same quipping from the common street folk. If I could choose any simile to describe this phenomenon, it would be that America is like a giant swing, and the Americans are at once the force of gravity and the squealing child throwing their weight one way or the other without any regard as to what might happen, only knowing that the ride will continue if they continue to sway. Dissatisfaction is a common theme among the typical American. No matter what benefit received, there always seems to be something lacking. And it seems that the country is strangely fueled by this. Because when you don't have a job, you can eat at cheap fast food restaurants that will eventually take over the majority of the world, and buy your clothes at stores that may as well turn their weekly staff meetings into sacrificial rituals. This theme of not getting what you want all the time is only magnified 10,000-fold by one looming monster named the media. What do you see when you turn to a news program on television in this country? Chances are, unless you're an early riser and have decided to watch the reanimation of dead tissue on television, or something having to do with cute animals or leftovers of the previous night's cocktails, the news panders along one line: fear, blown to epic proportions so that the everyman may be able to understand the information being placed before them. So from this fear comes the subsequent category of anger, and from anger comes random thrashing around, apparently. But everything must be put into perspective, a specific context. So let's rewind to 2008. After 8 long years of one of the worst, most ambling, the lamppost just jumped out at me type presidencies the country has ever seen, it's understandable that people would flock to the polls in one of the most ringing elections in U.S. history. It is also understandable, given such history, that general expectations were at Hollywood standards, the stuff movies are made out of. As a result, after a mere 2 years of being in office, the general American public has turned around again after being denied their instant change. This kind of thing in this country is expected. It has been happening throughout our history. We aren't happy with the Republican president, so we vote Democrat. The hell with any thought process, it just makes sense if one thing doesn't work, you go to the other thing that maybe didn't work, and maybe it did, and let's just gamble on that, alright? Then we aren't happy with the Democrat incumbent, so we wheel around and turn back to the ones that got us in the hole in the first place to do what exactly? Ask them if they've still got the shovel? This random throwing of votes into a ballot box is not, however, a simple issue. It's a complex one that can't possibly be taken down bit by bit in a video of this length. But like the American mentality states is normal, we're sure as hell gonna try. There are 2 major folds in this issue, aside from the smaller details. The first of the largest contributing issues is perception. As you will see after 5 minutes of news on any major network, the bad things are enhanced far more than the good things in between. Because television has become a staple of American culture and source of information, it's only natural that the information fed to us through this particular medium would be translated into the weight of our day. The other problem is the sense that if it isn't instant, it isn't working. The solution, oddly, is a combination of both of these problems. In a word, the internet. Yes, the information superhighway is the only way to get over the normal highway that is clogged with angry, gun-toting rush-hour traffic. It is the most shared thing in our world, and as a result, we are exposed to the best of things and the worst of things, and that includes the news. But we as a country mostly literate must take back where our information is coming from. It's time for news that is spread through the internet and transmitted to our televisions to come straight from the source. Using the internet for the news is not only the best way to avoid network bias, or else work it to your advantage, giving the best rounded version of a story. When you can have your headlines from CNN, NPR, Reuters, and the BBC on a single page, not only do you get a very dimensional snapshot of the same news story, but you also get enough instantaneous information to fill your eyes to the sockets and then some. You also sidestep useless pundits and advertising that will, with just a few shifts in your attention span, eventually make you forget all about the story you just heard. What were we talking about? Right. The one remaining issue, then, is the need for responsibility when it comes to uncovering information on the internet. It's far too easy nowadays to end up in the Frankenstein underbelly of information, or somewhere where bias is absolutely 100% unavoidable. It's even easier for the less experienced internet traveler to end up in a place that has nothing to do with current events at all, and the potential of the internet will again be squandered. The solution? Internet classes taught on the internet through accessible internet means that aren't confusing or ambiguous at all, and definitely aren't placed in fonts that would make a disclaimer writer squirm. Yes, the best way for transmitting information is indeed the internet, and nowadays it is the only remaining reliable source of such information. But we need to teach those who aren't familiar to use it properly, and the best way to do that is through the best method of communicating information. If there's one comfort to us all now, it's that no one will ever be able to own nor tame the wild beast that is the internet, and we as Americans will always be free through intangible media.